Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another edition of Forever Bristol City podcast, and we are going to be talking about Saturday afternoon's entertaining to a point encounter with the Dutch side Willem II, well supported by 500 fans, and a fixture that has long been called for as part of this bond that has developed between the two clubs over the years. They probably City's sternest test so far, save for the very early game against Wolves behind closed doors. I'm joined by regulars Ian and Mark. Ian, a good test as a curtain raiser to the new season, would you say?
I'd say so, Dave. I think we got out of it what we needed to get out of it. Um, the team, where the team was different to last season, where it mattered most to me was Max Bird in midfield. I think he looks as though he's going to be an excellent acquisition, something we haven't had for a long time. And I think you noticed his value when later in the game, Taylor Gardner-Hickman came on and he moved forward to a 10, where we couldn't get in the ball and he wasn't as effective. But whilst he was in that double pivot, he ran the game. And the other thing it made clear to me, well, two things. One, that Fali Malulu and Sinclair Armstrong are going to take time and they're very different players who could potentially play together in a two. And I was sometimes wondering, well, we've signed the players we've signed. Why do we still need Scott Twine? If we're going to play that 4-2-3-1 formation, we definitely need Scott Twine as a 10 in the middle of the three behind the striker. So, I thought we got everything out of the game. It was a tough game. They are a decent side. They did pass the ball well. So, I think that and the Wolves games with the other lower division teams and the games against them in between, I thought was a better preparation to the season than we had last. So I hope we can, if not hit the ground running. It's a bit of a funny expression, but we should be fit and raring to go by the time we face Hull next week, possibly with an addition or two, but possibly not.
Possibly not. Yeah, Mark, I sat next to you at a football game for the first time in I don't know when, which was a pleasurable experience in itself. We were sort of looking forward to it as we always do. That starting lineup that Liam Manning picked. Any surprises in it for you? Just the shape or the first 11 selection? It is a 20-man squad and a 16-man formation potential. Yeah. So, what did you think of that starting lineup?
No, not really surprising. I think Max Bird, as Ian said, I think Max Bird was outstanding. When we had the high press, he was hoovering up all of the second balls to recycle all of our attacks, and really we should have taken advantage of some of his excellent play by turning that into goal scoring opportunities. I thought played with two wide players in a 4-2-3-1, although these formations are quite fluid. I think Liam Manning was saying that we were playing with a free sometimes, and then playing with a box midfield and a 4-2-2-2. I think really the good thing that came out of yesterday's game was that showed us what a number of championship games are going to be like at home, where the away side are going to play with packed defence, make it hard for us to break down, similar to last season. And Willem II showed that with their back five frustrating us continually. We've really got to find a way of getting through these sides with a bit more movement and some better crossing. Our crossing yesterday was very poor. Some good link-up play from Armstrong and Mayulu, but we still looked a bit toothless up front. We need to add some more quality, take a few more risks with some midfield runners. That pivot with Bird and Knight, potentially very exciting because they played together. And then you could add Hayden Roberts as well. Of course, who played with those two for a season at Derby. So I think the great things that came out of yesterday were that we were really well tested against a team that plays in the Dutch top league next season. Our defence was outstanding. Rob Dickie, as usual, very calm head, great coming out with the ball, good passing, and Max Bird, who was my man of the match.
Okay. That's a good summary. Ian, you usually seem to have a finger on the post regarding injured players, and it was good to see Roberts on the bench. So that sort of dispelled any rumours that, what's wrong with him, something serious. Cal Naismith on the bench as well. McCrory, maybe they could have got some minutes themselves. But if we look at players that didn't feature at all, Hirakawa, Joe Williams, Belarus and Atkinson. I mean, of that, and I've put Murphy in there. That's a separate one because he's sort of more under 21s. But Rob Atkinson and Joe Williams. Any news on either of those two, Ian, from your?
Yeah, they'll both be available to start if required next week.
Yeah.
Yu is back in Bristol today. He'll be at the HPC, and obviously his first port of call is going to be Paul Tanner to check out this injury. He has been back in training with Japan, but wasn't considered fit enough to start their game against Spain, which they lost. So, despite what some people have imagined, he won't be taking a break like the players did after the Euros. He's back. He could be in there today, but he's definitely in there tomorrow. And they'll obviously assess the injury and assess the recovery program. And for all I know, he might be available for Hull. I think it's more likely he'd be available for either the Coventry Cup game or Millwall. But they'll see how he is. I mean, he is a fit, strong player, and he's come off the back of a Japanese season. Did a lot of the pre-season with us, then the tour in Portugal and all the rest of it. So you haven't got that new player integration thing to do over again. So all should be good. So that's the injuries, and apart from
was there an under 21 game yesterday?
Yeah, Eamon scored in the first half of the under 21 game yesterday. They beat Derby 4-0. Ray Nelson scored, Elijah Morrison and Marley Rose. Played very well. Josh Campbell-Slowey was excellent in that game. So great to see Eamon back, and as I said, looking like RoboCop. I mean, I think he's put on about 2 stone of muscle in the gym doing all that rehab, and but he hasn't lost his touch and lost his ability. So
that's good.
He's in the first team squad, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him on the bench and playing a few games sooner rather than later.
I mean, that's the thing, Mark. I mean, just reading some of the comments on OTIB and Twitter, the general consensus is that if you look at the Max, Tanner, Viner, Dickey, Pring, Bird, and Knight, and I tweeted this morning, that is a top 6, in my opinion, defensive setup. Yeah?
Yeah.
And if you look on the fact that on the bench to supplement that, you've got McCrory, Naismith, and Roberts who could come into most of those positions there, and also Josh Campbell-Slowey. Yeah. But when you get to the front 4, and I'll call it a front 4, it's very simplistic, I know. But you look at Mehmeti, Wells, Armstrong, and Bell. I've said that's bottom. There's nothing that excites me saying that Armstrong, and most people are saying this, Armstrong and Fally, they're raw. They're going to cut. But where's our 50+ goals going to come from, Mark? From your perspective, just looking at that.
I don't know. I mean, I think City are looking for a replacement or something like a Semenyo or somebody who's going to run past players and excite the fans. Obviously, we haven't seen Hirakawa yet at Ashton Gate, so I'm really excited by him. But some game changer, somebody who's going to motor on from midfield. I mean, Twine could do that in a number 10 role and link up well in those spaces. You know, at the point of midfield behind the main strikers. But yeah, I think Armstrong looks very raw. I thought Mialu looked better linking up play when he came on.
Yeah.
I think it's just in that final third, their decision making's got to be better, and I think that's something the players that have got to do. It's their first that what they do, what they do when they get the ball. And sometimes the first thought is to trap it and not take the ball on. We got good passes in the channels yesterday, and we could have stepped on the gas and taken the ball into the penalty area, but bad first touch, and we played the ball backwards. We played the ball sideways. Sam Bell, a bit frustrating on the
I
right.
thought he was particular. I thought he was.
Well, do you think he's getting his sharpness back because obviously he tore his hamstring? So we maybe could cut him a little bit of slack. Mehmeti was frustrating again. His first touch, again, making it easy for the defender. And if you've got a back five, if you're not hitting the ball first time, or making those defenders think about it, they just get back. And once they're facing up the pitch, then you're done. So it's that final ball, those touches in the penalty area are crucial for me. We got to be better with our decision making. But I think we just got to play the ball a little bit quicker in the final third. It still looked a little bit laboured. But I mean, really, that's what friendlies are there to test us. We weren't troubled at all in defence.
No.
I think they had one or two corners. I mean, Viner and Dickey look great.
I don't
Pring
think
was played higher up and got into some good positions, but where we know that the problem for City is scoring goals, and what the fans really want to see was some goals yesterday. So that was a frustrating thing, but we got a chance to correct that going into the season. So let's see what happens.
I mean, we cut with Conway persona non grata. The only person with, I think, in their whole Bristol City career with more than 20 goals is Naki. Ian, how did you view the offensive side of our game yesterday? We get into some individual incidents. There weren't that many in the penalty area, but Mark said for me, cut some slack on Bell because he's coming back. We know Brian has said in an open forum, Brian Tinian, that he could see Bell playing down the middle. Armstrong did look quick, but some of his touches were poor. Mehmeti is frustrating, shows potential, but nothing there. What was your take on that little grouping up front?
The issue, well, let's go through it. Sam Bell, I think, is better on the left than the right, despite the fact that he's right-footed. As Mark said, he is coming back from quite a serious hamstring injury. He's done a lot of work, so he'll take time to develop match sharpness. Naki's not a 10, and he played as a 10 yesterday. If you're going to play Naki, you play him up as a second striker next to Fally or Armstrong. And that's the real shame with Tommy being on his way, is that, and I don't, as I said, I don't disagree with that if he won't sign a new contract.
Well, Chelsea are doing the same with Conor Gallagher, aren't they? Yeah, I mean, he's been banished to the under-21s up there, I read the other day.
Well, lots of managers done it. Nigel Pearson did it with Masengo. He did it with Backinson. Gary Johnson did it with Bradley Orr. Managers do it. I mean, would I do it? I don't think so. But you've got to be in. That's the manager's decision, and you've got to leave it to them. I would have loved to have seen Tommy playing next to either Sinclair Armstrong or Fally. I would have loved that, but we don't think that's going to happen. Our problem yesterday, for me, was final ball and crossing. We got in some terrific opportunities to get crosses in, and our crossing, once again, and it was the same last season, was poor. Our final ball, there were a few occasions when we had a through ball on and we just didn't make it by a defender sticking his foot out or a good piece of defending or the ball hitting the back of somebody's heel or something like that. So that will come with time. I think you'll see through balls from Bell, and Knight will get Bird, and you'll see Knight get past the ball. But the two central strikers, Sinks and is a big, powerful lad. He is raw, which is why we've got him for what we are able to pay. We're not going to buy the finished article, because the finished article is going to cost you somewhere between 6 and 8 million quid. And if we
Uh,
sign one of them, we won't sign anybody else.
we've talked about this, Ian, earlier, because as I see it, we've been out and we've got Fally and Armstrong, which have cost us X. And I saw this week he was going to go to Hull and he went to West Brom. And I know he's 3 years older than both of those, but Thomas Asante went to Cov for 2.5 million quid. And his goal scoring record, he fits the big striker thing. West Brom have got no money. He's gone up the road to Coventry. Yeah. This is my personal view, and we've talked about this. I would have had, well, let's ignore Asante for a minute, Fally or Armstrong, and kept Seb, and the money that we'd have saved there, top up the money that we're offering for Twine, because he seems so pivotal. Now, if you look at Asante, he's got a decent track record, and if City had signed Asante and not Mayulu or Armstrong, I don't think there'd be the same questions being asked. What do you say to that, Ian? Is that sort of, is it wages? Are Coventry paying that much more? What's the situation?
No. Well, I don't know what Coventry are paying. I should think they probably pay decent wages because
Probably
they.
similar to us, aren't they? Yeah.
Well, I would say that they may be in the same ball game, but I mean, a lot changed when they had a different owner. Bearing in mind that they don't own their own ground, which may have given their owner an opportunity. I know he went in there and he paid off the debt, which was about £70 million that they were in, and he struck a deal with Mike Ashley, who owns their stadium, to rent the ground, which is an alternative way of working, but you don't have that asset within the business. In terms of that, I don't think what we get for Tommy Conway or what we paid for somebody else would make City pay more money for Scott Twine. They've got a price, a valuation that they consider fair for a player, and they won't go beyond that.
All right, let's talk a bit more about that.
The fact that we sell Tommy for more money, they're not going to look round and say, give Burnley an extra 1 or 2 million quid, because that's a bit of a slippery slope. If you start going down there, you'll have a valuation of a player, and all clubs do it. Whether that valuation, I mean, give you an example.
Yeah. Sorry, you'll have a valuation, but they've got a valuation, and it's like me saying, it's like take it to house buying, right? It's like my house, me saying, well, I want 1.2 million for my house, and you saying, well, I'm going to give you 900 for it. Well, you can keep knocking on my door, but unless I'm really, 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 really desperate, I'm really desperate, I ain't selling you my house for 1.2. Now, somebody might
if all I've got,
and you're selling my house.
But Dave, if all I've got is 900,000, or that's all I think your house is worth, because I've looked at comparable properties that are 900,000, that's all I'm going to pay. I'm not going to pay you 1.2 million for yours.
Depends how much you want it. Depends how much you want it, though, Ian.
Yes, it does. But you can't. You could go on, Dave. You could go on like that forever, and you finish up paying £10 million for Twine. So that's a bit of a. I don't know. I don't think that. I don't see it that way. Let's put it that way. I wouldn't say it's a weak argument or a strong argument, but I still look. The club will have a valuation if it can't be done, and it's a real shame because at the moment everybody but Burnley want that deal to happen, right? Everybody. So you got Twine. I'll include McNally as well. The agents, Bristol City, and it would have been done 2-3 weeks ago. But if the ball's in Burnley's court, so at the moment there's nothing we can do. And I think if it doesn't come to fruition, I would say by next week, I think it's very likely the club will move on.
Interesting, Mark. What's your take on that? Because Twine does seem to be integral to all of this. Ian says we shouldn't. We've got a value and we won't alter on that. Yeah. And obviously if Tommy ends up going to Burnley and we get Twine and McNally and undisclosed fees, you won't have a bloody clue what the actual valuations are. So, what's your personal take on the situation at the moment?
There's got to be a deadline for City, because this is dragging on for so long, and Burnley are obviously they're putting the mockers on it with the valuation. Otherwise, things would have moved before now with Twine. I don't know whether it's speculation about whether there's a possible swap deal, but then it would still come down to their valuation of Twine in any swap deal for Conway and or McNally, which is quite an interesting twist, really, after McNally's excellent loan spell at Stoke, and the fact that would that means we'd have 4 central defenders that could start, 5 if you look at Naismith as well. We'd probably have too many central defenders. So I think it just comes down to Burnley's valuation. There's got to be some break in the impasse in the next few days. If they don't move, we've got to move on, and whether we agree and make an agreement with Middlesbrough, because they're the real players in the game. I think Middlesbrough have made an offer, and will City accept Middlesbrough's valuation? Upfront payments, and any incentives got to be agreeable. But Conway's going to go. City can't afford to let him run his contract down in this day and age, and that will facilitate any move for Twine or another number 10 or another player. I think that might that may enable us to get somebody we never heard of. So we'll just have to wait and see. But it's just dragging on for far too long. I'll tell you what was quite interesting when we mentioned Asante moving to Coventry. They let Callum O'Hare run his contract down because he went to Sheffield United on a free transfer, which is crazy. But that's what happens. I mean, they did get a lot of money for Gyökeres last season, and Gustavo Hamer, who went to Sheffield United as well. But we can't afford to do that. Tommy wants to go. He's got to go. To enable us to buy some better players to give us a chance to move to progress up the table. So I just hope.
I'm trying to take a balanced view on this, and Tommy not playing, that's not going to increase his value. He doesn't want to be here, fair enough. But Tommy playing, right, between now and the closure of the window, there are 4 league games, and potentially, if we beat Coventry in the first round, 2 cup games. And if Tommy comes on and bags 4 goals in the opening month of the season, now that might be 2 in the cup and 1 in each of the league games, his stock and his value is going to go up more. Ian, I mean, he wants away, but if we fail to score in our first 3 games and Tommy hasn't gone, could he come back and we get the value on the pitch, for want of a better description?
We tried that before with Jesus, who didn't want to be here, and we were going to get value on the pitch. And how did that turn out? In the end, he left for nothing, and we didn't get any value on the pitch. What if Tommy played, got a kick on the ankle, and he had the same problem as Scott did in pre-season, where he was injured, and you wouldn't get somebody. I mean, Bournemouth paid the same money for Scotty and signed him injured, and I think he missed the first 3-4 months down there, with an injury. So that's the other side of that coin. So I mean, I think you if you play, if a player said, I'm not signing a new contract, then they don't want to be here. Now, it's different if we've offered somebody buttons and there's a queue of clubs round the block, or there's a lot of interest from the Premier League where players are earning a fortune compared to what they earn at Bristol City. I don't mind anybody saying, well, I want to move on. I mean, for whatever reason, I want a different challenge. I've been here since I was 8. I'd like to see what it's like somewhere else. And that might be Middlesbrough, that might be Burnley, that might be anywhere else. Yeah. But there's been no interest from the Premier League. Whereas with Scott and Semenyo, there was clear interest. It was all over the internet. And you couldn't get away from it. and it turned out that it was real.
Yeah.
And a lot of clubs, we had at least 2 major bids for Scott from Bournemouth and Wolves. So, there was the clear path to the Premier League. Now that doesn't appear to be there. I mean, come back all I said if West Ham come in on Monday with a terrific offer for Tommy, but I just can't see it happening.
I'm just looking.
He's not good enough. I mean, all these people on OTIB that are posting and saying, "Oh, he doesn't get the right type of pass." It's up to a striker. He's got to make things happen. He's a good player in transition. When he's got space in front of him, he can beat players with his pace. Or when he's got space, he can go one on one. Although his finishing's got to improve a bit, but he's only good enough to play, I'd say, at the top level of the Championship. He's nowhere near Antoine Semenyo or Alex Scott, who's a creative midfield player who can score goals. So he's going to have to improve his game. He's going to have to be stronger on the ball because he gets beaten in possession too often. He's going to have to be better with his back to goal because he can't play like that. So he has to improve his game. But I would take the risk. I know there's a risk. He's probably the best striker we got in the club, and I wouldn't have taken him out of the squad, although it does carry a risk. But that's what Liam Manning's decided to do. He's the best striker we got, and if it drags on into the season and we don't start, no, I'm just saying this is hypothetical. This is all hypothetical. Liam Manning's taken the position, but if we start the season badly and Tommy Conway's out, fans are just going to say, "Oh, why aren't you playing Tommy Conway?" So I would have played him. I would take the risk, but yeah, it is a big risk. He could.
I mean, this thing about contracts. I look at who's out of contract next summer. Now, there's 2 players that clearly aren't going to be, in my opinion, won't be offered contracts next summer. And one's Naki Wells because he's 35 next birthday, and the other's Cal Naismith. But there's 2 others that are out of contract next summer that really and honestly, right now, we should be saying to them, are we going to have contract negotiations with, for example, I'm just looking at the list here. Who is it now? 2 of them out of summer next year, out of contract next summer. I haven't got my proper glasses on here. Here we go.
You can borrow mine if you want. There you are.
Yeah. Right, Naki's out of contract next summer. Who else? Mark Sykes. There we go. Mark Sykes. He's out of contract next summer. Now, we should really. He's a player that I think we want to keep. We should be offering him a contract right now, shouldn't we? Yeah. Agree? Yes or no?
Oh, Mark Sykes, yeah.
Yeah.
And you sure he's out of contract next season, Dave?
Well, listen, I've got DaveP to thank for this. I got a date of all the contracts.
He's free. If it was a 3-year deal, he's in his 3rd year, isn't he?
Yeah. So he is out of contract. Yeah, next summer.
Has he got an option on? Has he got an option on his contract?
If he has got an option, or the club's got an option, then maybe it's not quite suppressing. But at least one would hope that we're going to be consistent. That's the key thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought there was one other on there as well, and my as I said, my eyesight. That's right. Tom is on there. That's right. Eamon's out of contract next summer. I mean, if he proves his fitness in the next few months, you want to be offering him a contract. Badgick's out of contract next summer as well, by the look of it. But
I can't see Badgick staying. He's never. I mean, he's never looked like he's going to challenge Max for the number 1 spot at all.
Yeah. Getting back to the action.
We need a stronger number 2 goalkeeper, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. Getting back to the action, I mean, the best chance of the game, and we had a really good view of it, Mark, didn't we? Because it was in our eye line, and that was Maulu. He created the space. I mean, I thought the first half of the friendlies last weekend, particularly when he missed that header over the top, he looked a little bit out of sorts. His body language, he looked a bit down. But then in the second half last week, he showed some good touches, and I think I would be starting him next Saturday lunchtime against Hull. Would you, Mark, and would you, Ian? You first,
yes.
Mark?
Yeah.
I'd start Fally, yeah.
Yeah. And when you look at some of the youngsters that are coming in, you mentioned, Ian, that we talked about Josh Campbell Slowey as a defender, but Nelson, scored one of the goals of the under-21s. If you look at I'll call them indifferent, frustrating performances of Mehmeti and Bell, you'd have to say, is there a chance of Nelson getting into the match day 20?
I'd have Nelson on the bench at Hull. Dead cert.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
He's
Nelson
strong.
looked. Yeah, sorry.
He's strong. He's powerful. He likes to tackle. He's a left winger. And what I really like about him is he can cross the ball with his left foot. So, that is an area in which we were weak last season, and it's an area on which we need to improve a lot. The crossing, particularly. I mean, Sinks made a brilliant. We played some lovely football. Sinks made a great run, got away from the defence. He was about, I don't know, 10 yards out on the angle, and he clipped it well past the far post. Now, when I was looking, I was saying, right, smash it low across the 6 yard box. Something will happen. The defender will stick in his own net, and he's done that. And there were other people a few times. We had it with Cam Pring, who we know can cross a ball, but over a really good one late on. But our crossing, and I was a little bit disappointed given our land of the giant status that we could possibly have, particularly if we signed McNally, who's another 6'4" bloke. I was disappointed with some of our set pieces. I don't think we made the most out of them. But as I said, early days. Let's see. I think I could pretty much guess the lineup for Hull. But let's see, and let's see if we can bring somebody in. But as I said, on that, the ball is very much at the moment in Burnley's court, not ours.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is in ours, because if we choose to, again, it's like negotiation. Yeah. Something that obviously is not happening with Tommy, but we might go to Burnley and they might, it's like, use a house analogy again. I want 1.2 million for my house. Well, I ain't going to pay you that. But you might move to 900, you might move to 1 million. And then you think,
mate, that's all been done over the last 4 or 5 weeks. The toing and froing and all the rest of it. So I think they're at the point. They're at the point now where I've just offered you an amount of money for your house. It's less than what you want, and if you say no, I go and get another house.
Yeah, well,
that's how it works. You know yourself. That's how it works. And the other side of it is you can't negotiate with somebody that doesn't want to negotiate.
Yeah. No, if they don't, fair enough.
If you
can tempt them. All I was saying earlier in the week is if we did move Tommy on and there was nothing to do with Burnley as part of that deal, you might, let's say we cleared today in cash, never mind add-ons or what have you, but if we got today £2.5 million for Tommy and add-ons, bring it up to 5, we've got £2.5 million, right? You could say, right, we'll tempt Burnley with another £1 million for Twine because he's a real known quantity and we really, really want him and he really, really wants to be here if we're led to believe, as we're led to believe. Then you could left with £1.5 million to go back in the nest egg, maybe, to coin a phrase. Mark, we were sat there and Ian said earlier, well, you might have said it, it was like a lot of sides are going to play against us defensively in that defensive. And sometimes, because we couldn't find that killer ball, it was very much like watching England on a bad day with blocked, go back, across, and just not massively attractive to watch for in parts of the game. But they almost snatched it later on, didn't we? We thought that had gone in for a minute. That was Ringo Meerveld wide from about 25 yards. That was their only real chance, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looked closer than it was. At first glance on a replay, it shot past the post, but I think that was the only chance that they had in the game. They played some neat stuff through the phases without troubling us at all, because I think they got a corner in after on about 85 minutes. They looked really toothless if we were toothless. But yeah, they had a couple of chances late on. I think Mark Sykes lost the ball high up and put the defence under pressure. So, but really, it was just dragging out to an inevitable draw. And when they added 2 minutes on, I really hoped they were going to take it off, because it was just, it just gone on and on to be a 0-0 draw, and an opportunity missed really when we had the chance to send the fans home happy. But I mean, the pitch looks in absolutely cracking condition. 10,000 fans, a lovely summer's day. But yeah, we're just going away from it saying, where are the goals? It's the goals that are missing. Let's see some goals, because I think again we look good in transition, wasteful in transition, but we look better in transition because teams who come to Ashton Gate, the majority of them are going to play with a packed defence. So why balloon the ball when you're going to cross it? Hit it hard and low across the 6-yard box, or you need more bodies. Get midfielders making late runs and play the ball back. You don't see that enough, and hit the ball first time because they can't deal with that. So mix up the way that you make that final ball, because we don't. It's so predictable. And football's much more tactical, a tactical game now. Defenses are much better drilled in that high position. You can see the you can see the formations right across the pitch when you're getting through, playing with 5-3-2, getting through those phases of defence. They just move up and down the field very well together. They're looking across the line so the line doesn't break. So it's going to get increasingly hard,
I've got
isn't
a
it?
smile on my face, those of you who are watching rather than listening to on a pod platform. But Peter Thompson's put here, you can tell someone by the Hoover they own. It's spelled with 2 O's, Peter, not one. Dave owning a Henry Hoover cements his legendary status. I'm actually in the office, and there's the Henry. Well, there's the long tube of the Henry. It's tucked away.
Well, Peter also said, "How many shoes have I got?" Well, this is the Tubby boot room. I mean, if it's good enough for Anfield, it's good enough for me. And that was a joke, by the way.
Yeah. And you've been banned from OTIB for your puns, haven't you? You were telling me the other day.
Yeah. I got a warning email, which I didn't see because it went into my spam folder apparently. So I would have followed the advice. I'm very sorry, everybody. I've got a very sad sense of humour, as I said to Tilbert, to Willem II's top boy who was sitting behind me yesterday, Gert Lush. So we often come up with these bad ones.
All I can say, Mark, is I had to put up with that for 90 minutes.
So yeah, I missed the
one off.
I missed the email. It went in the spam folder. I would have done something about it. I made another pun and I was banned. So it is what it is.
You were victimised there, to be quite honest. But there we go. Ian, Josh Stokes, he's gone from level 7, I think it was 2 years ago, up to level 2 in the football pyramid. He looks a little bit of a unit. He's built a bit like Eamon Benarous, or the new Eamon Benarous. He looks chunky, and he was involved. He did a couple of good things when he came on for that cameo for about the last 10 minutes. What did you think of him?
Well, he went from level 9 to level 5 with Aldershot, and now he's at level 2 with us. So I think both he and Adam Murphy have been bought with an eye to the future. I think what's going to happen with them is they'll be kept in, play a lot of games for the under 21s up until Christmas, and then it'll be assessed as to whether they go out on loan to League One, League Two. I thought I like Stokes as a player. Like you say, he's built like a rugby centre in some ways, isn't he? Or certainly a number 10 or scrum half these days. But I think he's a player. His natural position is 10. He can score goals. So we'll have to see how that progresses. But I think Liam Manning will want to keep them around the first team, training under 21s and play under 21 games and see how they come along. I think the same thing with Eamon after the amount of time he's been out. And then eventually, possibly near the end of this window, or even more likely the end of the January window, you could see some loan activity there to get some league football into him. But on what I've seen, I've been pleased with both, because obviously if you go into that market, you're not spending a great deal of money. There is an element of risk, but there's an element of risk with players that you have at the academy. And from what people tell you, the lads that come in that haven't come up from the academy, sometimes, like Antoine Semenyo, they appreciate it a bit more, and they grasp their opportunity. So I hope both lads do, but I don't expect to see that much of them this season
Mm.
in the first team.
No. Let's Mark. Let's look at the look forward to the game against Hull. And we're jumping around a bit, but so what? Look forward to the game against Hull. I don't see there being any changes in that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. I'm going to moot the idea. Let's assume that we don't get anybody coming in this week, a la Scott Twine, right? So we've got 4 positions to fill next week up at Hull. And I'm going to say, in no particular order, and I'm not his biggest fan, Sykes makes it in that front 4 for me. Mayulu makes it in that front 4. I think you're probably going to have one fast player. So I'm conflicted between Bell and Mehmeti on the left, because both of them can play that side. What say you to chucking Cal Naismith into the middle as a midfield, for his... I've always seen him, because he makes too many ricks at the back for me to be a reliable defender. What say you about Naismith coming into that, I'll call it the 10 role in its loosest sense?
Can't see it happening. Been out for far too long. I think that's as close to the first team lineup as you're going to see. I think we go for a 4-2-3-1, and who plays behind Fally Mayulu. I think he might play with he could play Bell on the left of the 3, and then he could play Sykes on the right. But he might end up playing Wells behind Mayulu. To be quite honest, I cannot see Naismith coming into that lineup at all. I think he wants Bird and Knight as the 2. I don't think he wants either of them moving up into the number 10 role.
I think Knight's effective when he moves forward. But
I don't think he wants either of those move into the number 10 role, but that just leaves you with Nahki Wells, because there's not a specialist, Scott Twine. So if Scott Twine doesn't come, I think Wells might even start.
Not Naismith because of his lack of fitness. But Ian, what about putting the extra midfielder in, be that Taylor Gardner-Hickman? If you bring Joe Williams in, you really have got to push either Bird or Knight forward. But do you think that's madness, me saying Naismith coming in? Because you've already said, correct me if I'm wrong, that Nahki isn't a 10. That's not his most effective role.
He's not. We know Naki's been a striker all his career.
Coming in next week, right? I said Sykes, Mayulu, and Bell.
I'll tell you what I'd do. I think more importantly, what I think Liam Manning would do. Okay, forget what I do. I think he'll bring Joe Williams in to play alongside Max Bird in the double pivot, and I think he'll push Knight forward to where he played a lot of last season as the 10. If this is assuming we haven't got Scott Twine, he'll play Sykes on the right, Mayulu up front, and Mehmeti on the left. And the same back 4.
He'll prefer Mehmeti over Bell.
I think Mehmeti's fitter than Bell, and he's in better form. He got in a lot of decent situations yesterday. His crossing, not great, final ball, but he's got pace and he's a threat. And I think Hull will attack us next week, more than Willem did yesterday. So that's what I think the front 6, if you want to call it a front 6, that's what it'll look like. So the same back 4. The bench will be interesting. I'd like to see Nelson on it, as I said, because if I'm a tiring right back on a hot day, the last thing I want to see is him limbering up on the touchlines.
Yeah.
Him or Elijah Morrison, but I think at the moment Nelson seems to be the one that is attracting a lot of attention. I can tell you, we've got clubs queuing round the block wanting to loan our under 21s. So I think it'll be the same back 4 as yesterday in keeper. Williams in Bird is the double pivot. Sykes, Knight, Mehmeti, and Mayulu, barring signings.
Okay.
I think, I mean, you could play a 4-3-2-1, and you could play, Williams. You could play Williams, Knight, and Bird, and they could alternate by who goes forward, and then you could play Bell and Mehmeti or Sykes and Mehmeti behind Mayulu. So that gives you an option play of playing that. Have a flat three. When you're defending, a couple could drop back into a five. So one of Bird and Knight could go forward to support the front players. So you've got maybe then you've got a 4-2-4 in attack. But it's all fluid. But definitely Knight and Bird definitely start. And I love to see Bird coming in from the right and hit it with his left foot. I mean, I think most people might have seen a goal that he got for Derby at the end of the season where he just stepped off the right flank and he can hit a ball very hard. We'd love to see. I mean, how many goals do we get from outside the area? About one a season, I think, really. Most of the time, we look like they're trying to walk the ball in the back of the net.
Well,
but some goals are scored from half chances, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah. No, I agree. Ian, we've said the back four is going to stay intact. Tanner, McCrory, some people say Tanner's better in a three across the back. McCrory pushed up, and Tanner doesn't offer that much going forward when he plays in a four. McCrory stood out for me in what I saw the friendlies. That was sort of, he's clearly got his full fitness back, which he didn't have for most of last campaign. Is that the only questionable one at right back, Tanner from McCrory? Or do you think George has done enough?
I think if you're...
He looked composed, George, yesterday, didn't he? I mean, he's safe. He's reliable.
Well, he's one of the, if not the best one-on-one defenders in the division. So I know I've been accused of being president of the George Tanner fan club. And George also crosses the ball as well as anybody we got when he's got an opportunity. Now, he doesn't get forward as much as Ross McCrory. So if I'm playing wing backs, I'm playing McCrory. If I'm playing a flat back four, I'd play George. So, I mean, for me, we were really, really good defensively last season. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. My gut feel is what I said just now will be the team. I'll have a guess at the subs on X when I do an article later on about what I think we'll do next week, and if I get any update at any time on any incomings or outgoings. But I think at the moment, I would say I wouldn't think of any incomings next week, and I think Tommy will join Borough.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. Mark, a couple of things. Bristol City, that's the handle of somebody. Josh Stokes was good, mind you. No one's mentioned him. He done well from the bench. We did mention him a few moments ago, actually. So maybe
I looked it up. It's level 7, I think. AFC Sudbury in the Southern League Central Division.
Well. Mark Earler said, genuine question: are we stronger than last season? Our signings are all unproven, and yet we spent 5 million. I mean, I'll answer that question first. I think we are, but unspectacularly. I think we've got cover in all the positions, but in that front four, I think we're going to be relying on things coming good and gelling. Yeah, Twine is pivotal on that. Yeah, if Tommy went, and we use that money to buy another striker or midfield, that money does need to be spent, in my view. So are we stronger? I give it a yes. Mark, what do you say?
I think we're even stronger defensively than last season because we got more depth. We got the return in Rob Atkinson and a fitter McCrory. But like Ian said, he's much better wing back than a one-on-one defender. And George Tanner's one of the best in the division at right back. So defensively, we look great. We got 2 screening defenders in Max Bird and Jason Knight, who will they'll run up and down the pitch and pick up loose balls. They'll press high up and they'll defend deep as well. So that's good. But can we excite? Can we score goals? That's the big question. If we can score goals, and we really have got to, then I think it could be an exciting season.
If we can score goals, remember, Mark, England got to the finals of the Euros, and you'd hardly call them exciting. Do you know what
Well,
I mean?
no, but I mean, I think we're only going to remember what Gareth Southgate's done, or did. Sorry, because he's gone now. You know, two World Cups, a World Cup semi-final, two finals of the Euro, third place finish in the Nations League. I think that Southgate's his legacy will be judged on the next manager. Can he repeat that? It's easy to say that he was boring, but he got us into all those
Yeah.
positions.
No.
Nobody's done that since '66. But let's go back to City. I think looking at it at the moment, we're a mid-table team who should finish higher than last season. We should definitely finish in the top 10 because we've got better strength in depth. Hopefully, with every fibre of me being, I want Eamon Benarous to be here and making an impact. After 2 years on the sideline, the lad deserves it, and he's going to be giving it his all for Bristol City. But can we score goals? That is the big question. At the moment, we haven't answered that.
Ian, stronger than last season and capable of getting the 4 wins that would be the difference between that 10th or 11th position and getting into the top 6.
I think we'll know more in 10 games time. I'm certainly not going to judge on what I've seen in pre-season because of the variety of oppositions we played against. That was apart from Wolves, which was behind closed doors, and it wasn't really 2 games. It was 2 lots of 60 minutes, and we changed the team for both games. So you can't really judge that. But I'm glad we did that because I want to see us play against that caliber of player in pre-season. But I think, yes, we're stronger. Yes, there's a lot more depth. We've got huge depth defensively. I mean, at one point yesterday, I looked around and I thought, well, we could almost swap the entire back 4, and it
Could,
wouldn't
Ian,
look
I totally agree with you there because
and
you look at McGraw.
incredibly weak. You know, had Joe Williams been fit, you could have said to Max Bird and Jason Knight, right, off you come. Joe Williams, Taylor Gardner-Hickman, who I think Taylor Gardner-Hickman's looked really good in pre-season. He's looked fit, he's looked strong. Another big lad. I mean, he's 6'2" and he's played 10 before, so that is another option no one's considered.
Yeah.
And he can shoot.
I think he can shoot, and he's. I think Taylor is one of those players. He's going to spit like Rob Newman did earlier on. He's going to suffer from being capable of playing too many different positions because he can play right back, centre mid, number 10. So people always say, "Oh, well, I don't know what his best position is," and that's what the manager at West Brom said, or the one that was there at the time.
Carvajal, wasn't it? That's what he said.
Yeah,
position.
is it Corbrun, Carlos Corbrun, or something
it was
like
at the time, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't know what his best position was, and I've seen him play for City. I'd say best game I see him have is when he played 10 for us once. He was all over the place. But all right, are we stronger? Yes, we've got greater squad depth. I think if Tommy goes or when Tommy goes, I don't see us bringing in another striker if we're playing one up top. But that doesn't mean we won't strengthen somewhere else in the squad. The only way we bring in another striker is, I think, if say for example Harry Cornick, who we have had interest in, moves on, and although in fairness to Harry, I think, I mean, he didn't get much chance to do much yesterday. He didn't make a difference when he came on, but he looked good in pre-season. Scored 2 excellent goals in. I know it was in a friendly against Exeter. But you've still got to stick the ball in the net, and there's still good.
He stuck them away
And
nicely.
there's still good technical skill, particularly in his second one. And as a second striker next to someone like Armstrong or Sinclair, I think you'd see a better version of Harry Cornick, the similar version they saw at Luton. So I think there's hope, but I mean I'll stick with what if they get Twain and McNally, I'll stick my neck out and say we should be in the top 10 all season, and I'd like to see us challenging for the playoffs, but that's not certain.
That's bold. Mark, just quick one back to you, McNally. Yeah, and you said you made the point, and it's evident, that another centre half. And when you look at Josh Campbell-Slowey and Naismith, McCrory, Roberts, all of these people that are there, Do you think anybody might come in with a bid for a Zach or a Cam Pring? You know, because
Yeah, it's always possible.
Cornick's the most obvious player to leave, isn't he? I would think now. Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
you
I
said
think
Cal
Cornick-
Naismith's out of contract as well.
Yeah, let Mark go on.
Carry on.
Yeah, I think Viner's one of our biggest assets. I think that what lets him down sometimes is his concentration.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if he can improve his concentration in games, he's a top quality player. Cam Pring as well. He's always on the verge of something. What he needs to do is score goals. Cam, similar to Joe Bryan, when he's bursting down the left, he's got to add more. He can cross the ball, but can he hit that ball across the keeper as well, and just add a few goals to his game? A couple of goals a season. I think you want more than that. But he's one of our biggest assets. Yeah, there could be bids for him, but I haven't heard that there's anything coming in. I think we'd like to move on Cal Naismith, but nobody's going to bid for somebody with his fitness record. But he's an excellent player when he plays. The problem is he doesn't. I think 13 appearances last season is awful, and and it's for a professional footballer, and it's a job. It's his job. And he's prevented from doing his job because of injuries, and it's not a great fit. Can't have a go at somebody for that. But really hope that he has an injury-free season, and that he's going to be a bench player, an impact player, because he's not going to be a starter. We've just got too much depth, and really the likes of Wells shouldn't be starting, but he does because we haven't got somebody in that.
Okay.
He's really a striker. He's a fox in the box. He can score. He can score goals, Naki. What a lot of players can't do.
I thought
goal scorer.
About players putting on muscle. I thought Cam had looked a bit of a leaner Cam Pring compared to what we saw at the end of last season. All right, guys, time to wrap up. We'll be doing our Hull City review on Saturday at 5 because it's a 12:30 kickoff. Remember that. Obviously, we're going to be wherever possible. I don't think we've missed one in the 4 years that we've been going. We'll be doing reports on every game. I'm going to do a couple of previews, certainly one this week, just looking forward. So I'll get that uploaded. This is season 58 for me, going in with the usual hope. And, it's going to be a busy August. As I say, 4 league games and hopefully 2 cup games before the international break. But, it's everything to look forward to. And if we finish the season where we are in the alphabetical listing of clubs in the division with no games played, everybody's got to be happy. So everybody who's listened and contributed or watched and contributed with your text, thanks a lot for that. Ian and Mark, thanks ever so much.
I've just realised it's season 50 for me, David, before I go. So it's my season 50.
You must be about season 52, Ian, yeah?
Dave, can I just say, where you spoke about Cal Naismith, where Cal Naismith could come in very handy if we're playing a double pivot with Max Bird, and Max Bird's a left-sided player. If Max Bird is out, I'd put Cal Naismith in that position, and I think he'd do well in it. So I just want to add that. I don't know. This is, I don't know about season, but
I think you went in 69, Ian. So I reckon this for you, because you told me one of your first games was when Bobby Kellard scored a screamer against Aston Villa in 1969.
Yeah, that wasn't the first. I was older then. I went down there when I was 8. So yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what it is, Dave. You know what I'm like with numbers and dates and things like that, but a blooming long time. So and it is the hope that kills you.
75.
Whoa, youngster.
I was 7.
Yeah. Anyway, we digress. Time to wrap up. Everybody have a good Sunday. It's not raining at the moment, which is good. And look forward to entertaining you, boring you, whichever way you want to take it in the weeks ahead. Cheers, everybody. All the best. Bye-bye.